Coming up on WUFT's First at 5, a new bill seeks to keep minors away from social media.
Also, Gainesville residents took out their swords and went back in time this weekend. We take you behind this year's Hogtown Medieval Fair.
Plus, after a really warm weekend we are seeing cooler temperatures happening ahead.
First at 5, from the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Social media is growing more popular every day across dozens of platforms.
But now the state of Florida will attempt to ban those 16 and under from making accounts.
Welcome to WUFT News' First at 5. I'm Serra Sowers.
And I'm Kennedy Mason. Thanks for joining us. WUFT's Lilly Kino is live to tell us how Floridians are reacting to the bill that's been approved by the House.
Hi, Kennedy. As you can imagine, the topic of this bill has sparked conversation across Florida. In Alachua County, one concern is that students may not be able to access the embedded links in their textbooks. 90%. According to the American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, that's the percentage of teenagers who use social media, but maybe not for much longer. The Florida House of Representatives passed a bill Wednesday that, if enacted, would prohibit children younger than 16 from using social media. While University of Florida law professor Clay Calvert recognizes the potential benefits of the bill, he worries it restricts minors' essential rights.
I think lawmakers probably have a good intent of trying to protect minors from online harms that we've been hearing about. But on the other hand, we have to balance the interest in protecting minors from harms against First Amendment rights. And those First Amendment rights include the rights of minors to access speech.
Beyond that, Calvert anticipates this law will have security implications when users input their private information.
The companies have to use third-party providers, right, to verify the age of people. And so in order to verify age, you're typically going to have to require some forms of identification. And that identification might have your address, your email address, social security information.
Teenager Natalie Planbeck got her first social media account at 14.
In the beginning, I definitely thought it was awesome just because I could reach out to more people, but I know it definitely affected me and body image and stuff like that. So I think at that time I thought it was fine, but looking back, I probably shouldn't have had it that young.
Not all of the effects were negative for Natalie, though.
I think it was also kind of important for me to have because it kept me in touch with my friends and it made me feel less isolated.
House Bill 1 now heads to the Senate for a vote. Senate President Kathleen Pasadomo has already expressed her support for this bill. Live in Gainesville, Lilly Kino, WUFT News.
Officials are offering a reward for a man whose whereabouts are unknown. 27-year-old Sammy Oates is charged with 2 counts of sexual battery with a minor under 12 years old. Officials say they are offering a reward for any useful information in the case. Those with tips can call the department at 352-359-5090 or Crime Stoppers at 372-STOP. A man is being held at Columbia County Jail after officials say he forced a minor to engage in sexual activity. Dallas Walters was arrested in Lake City after a complaint reached the police department. Officials say Walters was left alone with the victim in their home where unwanted sexual activity took place. This was not the first time this happened, according to officials. During an interview with the Child Protective Team, officials say the victim recalled multiple incidents prior to this one. Walters is being held at Columbia County Jail without bond.
A new program seeks to keep the community safe by rewarding those who lead officials to a firearm used in a crime. If you have any information about a firearm used in a crime in Alachua County, officials say you could receive a bounty $1,000. The initiative is a partnership between Alachua County Sheriff's Office and the county's Crime Stoppers. Officials say the information must lead to an arrest in order to be rewarded. You can contact Crime Stoppers at 352-372-7867. A former city commissioner and mayor of High Springs died Sunday. Dean Davis passed away at the age of 87. From 2009 until 2011, Davis served as county commissioner before taking his role as mayor. As a High Springs lifelong resident, Davis left his legacy in more than just politics. Davis was also a former president of the city's Rotary Club, Chamber of Commerce, and Downtown Merchants Association. As the cold takes over the day, a question lingers in the air. Are the cool temperatures here to stay? WUFT's Morgan Plotka joins us live with the weather forecast.
Yes, it is really cool outside today. Let's have a look at that live cam right now happening on campus. Really clear skies outside, very blue skies, 62 degrees with winds around 5 miles per hour. It is just absolutely really cool and beautiful outside right now. Now let's look at that weekend temperature change. Saturday we had high temperatures at 84 degrees. Now today's high temperatures are only around 62 degrees. It is just more drastically cold for the rest of the week. Now let's have a look at that evening planner. It is going to get pretty cool tonight, so make sure to grab a jacket if you're going outside. At 7 p.m. we are going to get temperatures around 54 degrees, getting pretty breezy, and then we might see potential frost happening overnight.
Thanks, Morgan. With temperatures dropping this week, the city of Gainesville is activating its cold night shelter program. For those seeking shelter under freezing temperatures, you now have a place to do so. St. Francis House and Grace Marketplace will provide cold night shelter services to those in need. Families can seek shelter at St. Francis, while solo adults can stay warm at Grace Marketplace. City officials say the shelters will remain open as long as temperatures are below 45 degrees Fahrenheit. This weekend, the 37th annual Hogtown Medieval Fair took on a new location in downtown Gainesville. WUFT's Victor Sen Martin-Diaz spent the day with swashbuckling swordsmen to see what the fair was all about.
This past weekend, Hogtown Medieval Fair went downtown. This Gainesville tradition stands strong, with the same music, entertainment, and monarchy that fairgoers cherish.
We have seen small children holding them in our laps as a babe come back to the fair with their own children. And that to us is very special.
The countless performers the fair brings share the same sentiment.
And being able to create memories for those families that last for a lifetime is a very special privilege that I hold dear.
The festivities aren't just found on the stage, but in the shops that line the streets.
They're very important to just our community at large. These are people who are practicing lost crafts. We have people who make leather work, people with blacksmithing, pottery making, wood carving.
With over 50 different markets in attendance, it's no wonder that hundreds of people are here today to celebrate the event. These shopkeepers come from across the nation to bring joy, commerce, and entertainment to the attendees.
The last show I worked was down in Sarasota, Florida. And then before that, I was in Ohio. We're based in Tennessee, so if we're only doing it once a year, that's not necessarily a way to make a living. But if you're going to different places every month that do it once a year, then you can do it sustainably for the entire year round.
Some Alachua County residents make it a priority to come out and support these local businesses.
I am here to support them, really, because I love the work that they do, and I will gladly wear what they have.
You can tell when someone is walking in who has never been here before, and they look around and they go, oh my gosh, I'm home.
This sense of community that the market creates defines the Hogtown Medieval Fair. Whether you're a knight in shining armor or a magical elf, there's a place for everyone in Hogtown. Victor San Martin-Diaz, WUFT News.
A program seeks to give kids opportunities to immerse themselves into the world of books. And the best part, it's free. Florida students can now receive free books and improve their literacy skills with the News World Reading. The program aims to impart reading confidence and promote a love for reading to those eligible through different resources. Voluntary pre-kindergarten education programs through 5th grade students are eligible. The program is offered by the University of Florida's Lastinger Center for Learning. For more information, you can get in contact with news.worlds at coe@ufl.edu.
Coming up on WUFT News' First at 5, we have more on how the county is preparing for National Missing Persons Day.
And we tell how farmers are struggling to get back on their feet months after Idalia.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Local law enforcement is using the upcoming National Missing Persons Day to highlight unsolved cases in their areas. The Citrus County Sheriff Office posted a message from Sheriff Mike Prendergast on Facebook today. It says in Florida alone, there are 3,200 individuals registered as missing in the National Crime Information Center. Less than half of the cases are accessible to the public, so about 2,000 families are not able to gain any information about their loved ones. In the message from the sheriff, he says this time is an opportunity to come together and raise awareness. It is recommended to look at missing person alerts on your phone and keep an eye out for those individuals.
When people think about Florida farmers, they often think of orange groves, but livestock are just as important to the local economy.
This past hurricane season threatened farmers in Live Oak, and some are still recovering. WUFT's Jake Lynch went to Suwannee County and spoke to chicken farmers about their ongoing efforts.
It has been 154 days since Hurricane Idalia laid waste to Suwannee County. What makes the county and city of Live Oak different from others in Florida is that its population is mainly based in agriculture. More than 5 months later, Idalia is still impacting Suwannee farmers like it was yesterday. To many in Suwannee County, agriculture is simply referred to as ag, and one of ag's biggest advocates can be found at Live Oak City Hall. City Manager Larry Sessions witnessed firsthand what Idalia did to local farmers.
I know of one farmer that's been doing this for 40 plus years. He went out of business the day of the storm.
In the months after the hurricane, economists estimate the agricultural losses tallied up to $380 million. That number doesn't factor in the long-term effects of an estimated 5 million chicken deaths. Farmer Wesley Wainwright used to operate 18 chicken houses, each the length of 2 football fields. Idalia damaged 10 of those 18. He hasn't gotten back to full production.
Currently, I have 4 houses that are still out of production and will be for about another 2 months before I get those 4 back online. But again, it's the difficulties that has been in place for a lot of these farmers is just the lack of funding.
Wainwright's farm is down the road in the heart of Suwannee County. Most of his production comes from raising Pilgrim's Pride chickens. While the majority of his livestock is chickens, Wainwright still has a substantial cow and hay operation. It's important to note that not all farm animals are created equal. When it comes to cows, like the ones behind me, they're pretty much self-sustainable. Farmers will leave them out even during hurricanes because they can weigh more than a ton. They just get low to the ground, weather the storm. But when it comes to chickens, on the other hand, you have about 29,000 of them per house. If a house falls over, if anything goes wrong, you can lose about 29,000 chickens. There are 3 real challenges presented to the Suwannee ag community right now. First being that insurance companies do not offer wind insurance to farmers in the state of Florida, so payment has to be made out of pocket and with relief funds. Second, relief funds from the federal government are not set to disperse until the end of this year, a year and a half after the storm. Third, the average age of farmers is 57.5 years old. Producers affected by the storm are given a choice between fighting to get back on their feet or going into early retirement, many with no one to replace them.
I would just encourage and try to get guidance counselors in these high schools to, hey, you need to be steering kids over to look at the agricultural community. It's not just working in the field. It's not just catching chickens or working cows. It's not, that hands-on. It's not just the hands-on thing anymore.
For Wainwright, Sessions, and other devout members of the ag community, it's about feeding society. The decrease in farms and farmers is not unique to Florida. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, as of 2022, there has been a 7.5% decrease in the number of farms in the U.S. since 2000. Reporting live in studio, Jake Lynch, WUFT News.
After a really cold and dry week ahead, we are going to see potential showers this weekend.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
It is looking absolutely nice and pretty outside today. Clear skies, not even a cloud in the sky. 62 degrees with winds around 5 miles per hour. It is going to be pretty cool for the rest of the week. Now, coming up, we could see some frost possible happening tonight going into tomorrow. Very dry and mild week and some upcoming weekend rain. Now let's have a look at those highs today. We are seeing highs in the low 60s, 63 degrees in Gainesville, 61 degrees in Ocala, 61 degrees in the Villages. It's going to remain in the 60s for the rest of the week. But let's have a look at this evening. We are going to see temperatures drop to the 40s. It's looking pretty cool outside, mild, and we could see some frost developing overnight, and that could bring in some more cooler temperatures. Now let's have a look at those overnight low temps. We are seeing some frost warnings happening above the state. Now we are seeing temperatures around 38 degrees in Gainesville, 38 degrees in Micanopy, and 38 degrees in Hawthorne. And even south by Ocala, we are going to see temperatures pretty similar, 38 degrees in Ocala, 38 degrees in Bellevue, and 48 degrees in the Villages. So just be aware of those frost warnings that are happening overnight. Now, we did have a cold front that came in this weekend. That's bringing in a lot more cooler air coming in. We could see a potential cold front happening again later in the week. However, we're also going to see some potential showers happening on Sunday due to also that cold air. Now let's have a look at that future radar as well. We are seeing it's pretty clear outside on Thursday. Here's 1 p.m. We are going to see pretty clear skies happening Friday, Saturday as well. It's going to look pretty nice and dry. But if you take a look at Saturday at night and then Sunday, that's when that rain is going to come in, and that's going to bring in maybe another cold front with cooler temperatures as well. It's going to see a lot more moisture air. Now let's have a look at the rest of the week. Temperatures are going to drop to the 60s as well. It's going to be nice and dry outside. Friday is Groundhog Day, and we're going to see continuous winter temperatures as well. Saturday, it's going to bring in a little bit more sunshine, and then Sunday is when that rain's going to start to come in, and it's going to bring in cooler temperatures and a lot of rain.
It's been an up and down ride for the Gators men's basketball team in the month of January, but the orange and blue may have slightly hit their stride. The Gators men's basketball went head-to-head with a familiar SEC rival this weekend and managed to keep on trucking with their winning ways. Stick around after the break for my report.
You're watching WUFT-TV News.
Welcome to sports. I'm Kaylann Sims. Gator fans, you might want to check your pulse after Saturday's close game against SEC rival, the Georgia Bulldogs. Gators men's basketball hit the ground running in the first half of this outing, outscoring the Mean Machine by 20 points over 4 times in the first half. The second half was a whole different story. The Bulldogs managed to claw their way back in the game, capitalizing off Florida turnovers and hitting shots to help send this thing to overtime. Smart shots and a couple of prayers later, the Gators managed to get out the O-Dome alive, taking this one 102-98. The Gators women's basketball team kept the good times rolling and came away with a much-needed SEC win of their own in a Sunday midday matchup. Hot off a 63-51 win against Texas A&M, Leilani Correa says they are more than ready to level up their game as they head into the final push of the season.
Leilani, why don't you go ahead and answer that?
I think it pushes us in the right direction. It shows us that we can do it. You know, like you said, we've struggled in the fourth quarter, but you know, you got to start somewhere. And I think today we, you know, we proved to ourselves that we can play a full 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And whenever we falter, we can always come back from that. We don't have to stay in that little hole. I think we played hard.
Friday night, number 8 Florida Gymnastics left it all out on the floor as they fell to number 6 Alabama by .15, losing their 20-home meet winning streak. Both teams had a season best performance on the balance beam, but Florida fell short to Alabama's floor exercises. Florida's Victoria Wynn led the Gators with her near-perfect score of 9.975 on the vault. Freshman Anya Pilgrim also helped carry the load for the Gators, landing a 9.925, making her career best score. Florida will continue their SEC action on the road this Friday against number 18, Georgia. In some more college hoops news, former Florida women's basketball player Mary Rooney Scoville has been named to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. That's all for sports. I'm Kaylann Sims.
Thanks so much for that report, Kaylann. And now switching over to weather, I just remember this weekend being so warm.
Yes, it was so warm this weekend, but it is getting a lot cooler for the rest of the week. We did have a cold front that came in this weekend. That's bringing temperatures to the 60s for Friday. And then Saturday, it's going to go up to 70 degrees. And then we're going to get a lot of rain happening on Sunday, bringing temperatures back down.
I'll be sure to get my raincoat for Sunday. But thank you so much. BBC World News is next, and the PBS News Hour is coming up at 7.
Remember, your Florida news is always on at WUFT.org. Have a good night.